which you will accept. Because if they make, if those two business decisions can be the kiss of death for an IT project, right? So yes, Agile will help you recover from those mistakes, but it'd be a lot nicer if you didn't make those mistakes to begin with. And so you need to work with your business people to do that. It's no good if your company decides to have defined roles. So I'm a business analyst. I only write I only talk to the users and I write documentation and I hand it off to the coders, right? That's not good. Right? That's in effect, it's not just a business analyst problem, obviously, but having these defined roles, doing their specific specialty, is not a very effective way of doing things. This is a challenge. So we need to get smarter about this. When we have compliancy issues, we should automate it as much as possible. I don't want to fill out forms. I don't want to do reviews. I don't want to do a bunch of extra paperwork. I want my tools to automate all this for me. I want this to be as easy as possible. It's not going to be totally automated, but a lot of it can be automated. We need to be collecting some simple metrics. If you're collecting no metrics at all, you're flying blind, right? There's no possible way that your organization can manage your projects. So who cares if if the single projects seem to be doing things well, how do they compare? I don't want to be investing in teams that aren't very effective, right? I'd rather put my money into the teams that are doing really well and starve the teams that aren't doing so well. I need to monitor my projects. If I've got, it's great that you do, that Agilists do retrospectives every iteration so that way they can improve. But what about the rest of the organization? So who cares? It's nice that we've got this Agile team over here doing really well, but why don't we share these ideas with everybody else? Why don't we get better at that? So why don't we start targeting start identifying the projects that seem to be doing really well, and then go and ask them, say, you increase your productivity by 20%. How did you do that? Oh, you're doing TDD. Well, maybe the rest of the team should be doing this too, right? Or whatever it happens to be. So this is what you get. Good things for this is the value out of getting out of good governance. Aligning your team structure with your architecture. So if you've got a larger team or teams of teams, then you want to identify your subsystems and have different teams working on the different subsystems, right? So this is called Conway's Law. Self-organizing teams, a fairly decent thing from the Agile community again. So anyways, having valued corporate assets. All the clients I talked to the last couple of days, everybody talked about reuse, right? Well, the only way you're going to achieve reuse is you have valuable things that people, good quality stuff that people actually want to reuse, including coding guidelines and components and web services and everything else. And you've got to be able to fund that. So if you ask a project team to do reusable stuff, it'll never happen. They don't have the time to do it. So you've got to have ways. You've got to have a reuse program in place. It's got to be separately funded. You've got to make it as easy as possible for people to do the right thing, because the teams themselves will not do it because that's not their primary goal. Okay, you've got to have a specific reuse team who's geared to do reuse and make it as easy as possible. So there's things like this. So this is part. So this is part of your overall governance program. So now this is something that if you're a small company, if you're new at all this is not what we want to be looking at today. But you should be, if you've got multiple Agile projects, if you're a couple of years in, if you want to get better, then you got to start looking at your overall portfolio, right? Because it's at the portfolio level that you're really going to start achieving benefits of scale. So these are the sorts of things that we're seeing in practice. So anyways, a few parting thoughts. Look beyond the Agile, look beyond the rhetoric in the IT community in general, but particularly look beyond the Agile rhetoric. There is some questionable things going on in the Agile community right now. So we got to be a little bit smarter about that, and we got to start questioning, because just like the traditional communities made assumptions, so is the Agile community, and we don't have some of the numbers that we should behind some of the things that we do. And some of the things don't work very well in practice, which is why we're seeing the evolution of Agile. There's far more to development than development. I think one of the challenges that we face in the Agile community is that it is too programmer focused. So we've done good things. We've brought discipline to programming. We have made programming a little more mature, but we've also really, it's interesting, some of the conversations that you see, the programmers have sort of digressed in many ways when it comes to the data stuff, when it comes to looking at the bigger picture, when it comes to architecture, things like that. So overall, I think things have improved, but we have made things a little bit worse in some cases. So we need to consider that. If you're doing Agile at scale, consider an Agile form of RUP. Yes, I realize that there's been a lot of challenges with the RUP. A lot of companies instantiate RUP in a traditional documentation heavy, sometimes serial way. That's not right. I don't know what that is. That's not RUP though. RUP done right is Agile. So, and there's been some wonderful case studies, and a lot of organizations have succeeded at that. So there's a bunch of good stuff. I actually blog. Oops. Anyways, oh, there we go. Okay, I actually blog about scaling issues at Developer Work. So if you're interested in some more details, go ahead. I guess we're going to be running a roundtable later on this evening, so I'll be back for that. I've actually got to run out. I got to go visit another client, then I'll be back. But anyways, thank you very much, and I'll hand off to the next speaker.